Welcome back to the production van build. In this video, we are going to cover framing. So we're going to frame out the inside of this van and make it a little bit easier to attach our plywood to the side as well as our E-track. So this is going to make everything fit really nice and tight in there. So in this video, we will cover installing the E-track and the framing. And if there's anything in addition to this, we'll throw that in there too. All right, now that we got all the insulation in, our next step is to frame it out. So the star of this show is going to be E-track. This E-track is going to ride on the top side here, and it's going to ride down here. We also have 10-footers that are going to go along this side as well. So our biggest thing is we're going to build around this. What we want to do is have our 1/4 inch slide right into this channel here. So once this is up on the wall, our paneling will go flush up against this. So the biggest thing is getting this in first. One little thing on here too, it says made in USA. You want to make sure that is right side up. Actually, it's on both sides, so really doesn't matter. Just made in the USA, cool. All right, so what we're gonna do is for the framing, I have a bunch of 3/4 inch plywood. It was for a project that I never did finish or never did start. So my plan is to frame everything out with that. I'm gonna cut 1-inch strips and then start with all the framing in here. And it's really gonna be kind of just figure it out as we go and see how we like it. There's gonna be some things that are gonna be adjusted. There's gonna be some things that, aren't gonna work out the way we wanted, but I think it's gonna turn out great. So let's get started on that. Right now, I'm just gonna rip a bunch of a 4x8 sheet up. I know a lot of people get furring strips, and those are great too. Those are already cut, and then you can just, put them right in here. Also, I plan on doing pocket holes for all of these, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that going. So I started to think about it a little bit more, and I think I'm gonna go 2.5 inch and cut as many as I can and start framing with that instead. It'll give me a little bit more meat to grab onto. And I'm just using a rip saw from Craig. This thing's awesome. And I could just fly through this and keep ripping these same all the way through. So as you can see, I don't want to stud from here, right? And then lose all this wall space. So my plan is to cut these down, which you can't see right now, so they're too big, and go on the inside of this. Go straight up and down from here, toenail into this, straight into this, across there, and then not toenail, but pocket hole directly into this, pocket straight into this, and then go all the way across. And this should sit flush here. It's there. And then we go all the way across with that, and we pocket hole grid in here basically. So we'll give plenty for the panels to attach to, and then we'll also give enough stability for the E-track to be attached to too, because we're going to want that mostly in the metal, but then it can be in our frame too. So I'm going to keep ripping on this stuff and see how many of these we can get done. So right out of the back of the van, I have my chop saw because I know I'm going to be making a ton of little cuts, and it's easier to just do this. I could probably load it up in the van, but I just have a lot of sawdust I'd have to clean out. I have my pocket hole drill here too, and that way I can be ready to go to just start putting this all together. Again, we're going to start with the rails, and we're going to start with framing everything first, and then we can start obviously putting on the panels. But I read up a ton about this, and this is Loctite Marine Fast Cure, and a lot of guys use this in vans. I plan on putting these on the studs a little bit. I'm not going to go crazy with it. Probably on the paneling I'll put that, and maybe a little bit on the subfloor. But I just want to make sure everything feels tight in here, and there's not going to be stuff rattling around, after driving it for a couple of years. So we get started on this. You'll probably see a lot of movement going on, and I'll stop and explain a few things if need be, but we'll just get started. want to make sure you're using the right screws too. I have some self-tapping 1 1/4 and 2 inch. You just want to see how much space you have to be drilling into and making sure you're not drilling through anything. A lot of times you don't need a ton of meat, right? So a lot of times these 1.5s are going to be just fine going through the wood and then into this. So just want to keep that in mind. And I just realized I forgot to put the caulking in there, but this stuff is going to be super solid. So I'm going to line it here. I'm not going to worry about in between these joints. This thing's going to be holding just fine. So I got part of the frame up here. Went ahead and just pocket hold these in, and I plan on framing out a few more. Again, like strengthening everything up in here and just making sure this is all one big tight unit. And then with the E-track, I'm looking at where I want to put it on the wall here, kind of more positioned towards the back. And as I move this up, I want to keep it kind of tighter on this higher piece of metal here and really drive it in and then give it some meat to hold on to below. But if you can see right behind it, everything is white and wood. I don't like that. So I have black spray paint, and that was what I used down below. My plan right now is to spray paint this, and then I'll mount this E-track and then start working on the one below. And then it'll just be framing. So the other thing I have to figure out is it's all worked around the E-track. So the next thing is what I'm going to attach to up here in order to put panels up here as well. So it's all getting figured out. But also when I want to go over the E-track, let me show you that too. When I want to go over this E-track with the panel, I need to leave some of these holes open so that I can drill straight through the panel and through this, and it'll be 1/4 inch, so it'll line right up to this really nicely. But I just got to remember that, to leave some of these holes open so that I can attach the panel too. And in the end, that's just going to strengthen up the E-track even more, so it'll work out. I'm going to spray paint this now. Give that a second to dry, and then I'll put another coat on it. But already, I'm not going to hold it too close to it, but already that's going to look better knowing that's black behind it. A lot of times it's a solid piece of wood, so we won't have that. We'll have this behind it, but again, painted black, it'll look better. All right, we got some progress here. As you can see, we got the E-track up on the wall, went ahead and painted it behind. Now, right now, I just have it secured with 6 screws. 3 into this frame, 3 into the metal. But once we start putting in the panel here, that'll go over the top and go into these holes too. So we'll get nice and secure here. Same thing down below, and we're gonna start on the other side now. And I wanted to show also, I did bring the chop saw in the van because I was so tired of going in and out, in and out, in and out. And so all these little adjustments, I just had to keep going in and out, and it was tiring. So brought it in here. It's gonna be louder, it's gonna be dustier, but we're gonna clean it all up before we put the paneling and the floor in, so we're good. The next thing we're gonna do is flip to the other side here, and we're gonna do the 10-foot E-track. Same way, give it something to grab onto on the top and bottom. We're gonna paint it black behind. I know with the sawdust, that's probably gonna be an issue, so we'll have to pause for a second while we paint. But again, this is all behind there, so not a huge deal. And again, everybody, it's a work van. So we wanna make it look nice, but at the same time, it's a work van. So you still need to treat yourself nice, let's be honest, but in the end, it's a work van. So let's get started on this other side. And again, it's just gonna be a lot of measuring, cutting, measuring, cutting, measuring, cutting. And just like a chef, I have the mise en place. I have all my materials here. I cut the 4x8 sheets down to the 4 feet length and then the 8 foot length. So I've got 2 options to play with. And for these longer runners on this side, I'm gonna need that. And then just need to grab my drills, but I've got the pocket hole drill, I've got my screws, got my clamps, got my glue. We're ready to go. All right, so the first thing we're gonna run into is if we look at this E-track, super long piece, right here in the center, we have this stanchion here, which it's not gonna actually fit over this. So in order to keep it straight, we need to come up here and we need to build out this wall. Now, how much space do we need on that? That's what we need to figure out, because we may need to stack a few of these 1/4 inch, frame this out, go up to here, and then stack onto that again, and really build it out. Because we want to be able to hit here, but we're obviously going to have to come way further out with this one in order for it to be level across the whole thing. And I definitely want to have this across the whole thing. So let's start building that out. It's like we'll be exactly 3/4 inch, so we can cut this angle right here and get this to fit in here pretty nice. We're gonna come to right about here. A lot of this is behind paneling, so we can eyeball a lot of this. Don't always recommend it though. All right, so you can see that comes right up to that edge. Just cut a 45 right there. Probably could do a little bit less of an angle, but it still fits perfectly in there. And then we could take our level and see, now we fit straight right across. It's a little bit of a gap, the tiniest bit, but that'll still fill in a lot of that space. Just like we did on the other side, we're gonna fasten up here, go straight down to here. That'll give us a nice tight fit. And the other thing is we wanna give more grab here. So we may do a couple shots because we want that E-track to be able to connect to multiple locations, not just this top piece. But we'll build a runner just like we did on the other one below this. So we'll put our cross braces in and then cross brace right there too. So let's start with those. I'm just setting the angle on my saw ever so slightly. Whew, it's hot out here. Dripping right into my glasses here. So I'm at about a 27 degrees, and that seems to fit in there real nice. So we'll cut the rest of these. Thought I'd show off this little trick that I'm using to get this glue applied here. I know, overkill in here, but I want to make sure this is staying really tight since this is where the E-track's going. Take this little piece of angle here and just push the glue out and then run this along. And then you don't have to worry about your glue dripping. Works pretty well, because if you know applying anything on a vertical surface is tough. You could use a brush, of course, but hey, I had this sitting around, so. All right, all the framing is done. Show you a few things that I did here. So as I was putting these in, I realized that it wasn't going to line up down here. So I had to cut these shims basically for each one of these. And it's just got glue on it right now, so I'm just taping it. The glue will be what's holding it all together, but these shims I had to cut so that would line up, these panels would line up over the top of this E-track. So you got E-track there, all lined up. And then up here on the top, I went ahead and put in some stringers, and then I cut a 10-degree on this. So then this will line up down here pretty close. Like, it's gonna be a little tight, but these panels are meant to bend a little bit. They're just 1/4 inch. So got here too. Thought about putting in spacers here too, but these panels are gonna be strong. Again, they're 1/4 inch, so I'm not too concerned about it. And same thing here. These panels coming across here, everything's gonna be really sturdy across here. So over here, I kind of overdid it in putting these stringers in. Not really necessary. I mean, I could go back and do them over here, but I don't think I need it. And it's gonna be so solid once it's all put together. And then down here, since I had that spacing issue too, I had to build out this so that this would line up and go straight down as well. And I had to do it on these as well. And on this other side, I had to put some spacers in there as well. And this was 3/4 inch, and then I had to cut 1/4 of an inch off of this, or sorry, this is 3/4 inch, and I had to cut 1/8 of an inch off of this. And then I was able to get that in there solid. And again, this wall is super solid, probably more than the other side, just a shorter span. And as I was putting this together, I realized the E-track, this metal piece behind here wasn't as big as the other side. So I had to put in 2 stringers here. And after doing that, I realized I could have just cut 1 big stringer instead of 2.5 inches. I could have cut a 6-inch piece. And that's what I did across the back of this one, is cut a big 6-inch piece across the whole thing. And so now it's all in there solid. So next thing to do is to start building the panels and then work on the floor. So it's coming along.